On this next hunt, I'm actually hunting on the property of a good friend of mine, a guy by the name of Mike Wheeler, and he's the owner of Wheeler's Whitetails. And I actually lived with this guy for 3 months, and I'll tell you right now, if there ever was a deer nut, this would be the guy. You want to talk about a deer fanatic and somebody that's got these deer down to a fine science, it's got to be Mike. He showed me the layout of his place, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Not only that, but then just the sheer number of Pope and Young bucks that he's got hanging on his wall, and all of them been taken with a bow. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who knows deer, it's definitely Mike. And if you ever want to shoot a big whitetail in Kansas, I'd highly recommend giving him a holler. Again, he's the owner of Wheeler's Whitetails, and he's got some good properties to put you on. Here's just a couple good tips for you guys anytime you're in that late season, you have a bunch of snow. Here we are around Christmas time, and I think we had around a foot of snow. And anytime you have that much snow, it's going to cover up most of the food sources that those deer have available to them. So just a couple different things that you can do is, first off, you want to make sure that it's legal in your state. But obviously you can go buy a deer attractant or the supplemental feed, which I would highly recommend. But again, you can just put that stuff right on top of the snow, and it makes it very easy and accessible to those deer. Especially if you have a freezing rain that puts a real hard crust shell on top of that snow and makes it harder for those deer to dig through that snow and get to your food plots or your food sources. Again, what that supplemental feed does is it just goes right on top of the snow, and it gives those deer an easy food source that they can find pretty quick in that late season. Another thing that you can do is you can get a rake and you can get out there in that snow in your food plot, and you can actually rake that snow out away from your food plot, and you'll find that those deer will find that pretty quick. And when they find it, they'll actually start to eat that thing out, and just the number of deer and just the traffic of those deer coming to that food plot will actually melt that snow away quicker, and you'll find that they'll open up a pretty big hole once they find it. Those are just a couple things that we did on this hunt, and I think you'll see that it at least produced a big buck, to say the least.
Folks, as you can see, it is absolutely freezing cold right now. It's the day after Christmas, and Christmas Eve we had a real bad storm. Snowstorm, wind blowing like crazy. There's some snowdrifts that are above your head. The wind was so bad. I gotta be honest with you, I don't even know if I can draw my bow back. I feel like a fat man in a little coat right now. I feel like that little kid on the Christmas Story. The one who gets all bundled up and he has to waddle down the sidewalk. That's what I feel like right now. So if a big buck does come in this evening, I don't even know if I can pull my bow back. I'm gonna have to shed like 18 layers of clothing before I can even draw my bow. So that'd be interesting to see if I can even draw my bow back. Didn't even think about that. We'll see what happens. worked so hard for all season is to get a nice broadside shot at 30 yards. And then I screw it up. I don't know. Apparently he was at 20 yards. I was 90% sure that was 30 yards. Put my 30-yard pin right on him, sailed it right behind his shoulder, and pulled the trigger and missed him. Clean miss.